You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and our friends at the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure to check out the GCP, where the vibes are free at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. You'll get 10% off your order on a Senators game day, and make sure to go to the website, GlebeCentralPub.com. The Senators shuttle is $17 round trip. We got a rowdy bus coming back from the CTC after the Ottawa Senators get a 5-2 win over the Montreal Canadiens. No sweep for you and no playoff clinch for you. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson. Pillsy, at least Habs fans got to see a tie game for 28 seconds.
Oh man, the bus back to the GCP will be an absolute blast, but I have a feeling a couple bus trips back to Montreal will not be as exciting. Man, it feels good to beat the Montreal Canadiens. As Martian said on Twitter, nature is healing now that the Ottawa Senators are back on top up against the Montreal Canadiens. I know they filled the CTC. Good on them. See you later. Beat the traffic. Thanks for the cash. Thanks for paying the concession stands. And the Ottawa Senators remain on top of the Montreal Canadiens in the standings.
Jack, what'd you see in this game as it developed?
Just dominance, boys. The Sens look good the whole time. That early start, Shane Pinto, and we'll be talking about Pinto a lot tonight because that line was outstanding all night. But they get the party started right away, and I know Jackson's calling that third line in the playoffs. I'm starting to think that's not even their third line, boys, because that's a line I want out there in all situations at all times. I think they probably led the team in ice time again tonight. They were the story to me, and they propelled them to a win over a streaking Habs team.
LOSP stats department might have to get on this, but once again, Ridley Gregg, the most ice time among all Senators forwards. It's a common theme. He's one of the only guys that plays in all situations. Him and Claude Giroux are the only guys who are on every PK and every power play. He is finding himself in a perfect groove heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs, where, I mean, the way he plays, it's just a perfect fit. Goal and an assist tonight for Ridley Gregg. We'll get into how that line must be not only kept together, but go against other teams top lines. We'll also talk about Jake Sanderson doing his thing tonight, the physical abuse that Tim Stützle took, and how we think he was able to fight through it. Shout out to the everydayers in the postcast, the citizens. We appreciate the hell out of you guys. Senators needed this one. The final 3 games of the season: Sunday against Philly, Tuesday against Chicago, Thursday against Carolina. I could not care less. They had to, despite already clinching, they had to avoid the sweep at the hands of the Montreal Canadiens. And what I love too, and I'll snap it back to you with this one, Jack, how many goals were right at the net front? Those dirty area goals that the playoffs are won and lost on.
That's how they scored a lot of their goals during that win streak around the deadline. Remember, like that game against the Rangers, all those tying goals were like that. And that's where it started for me, where they started to figure out, like, if you go to the net and you start playing hard and just getting in their face enough, it'll work. And, you know, for all we talk about the Habs, like I know that Lane Hudson's had a fantastic season. He got frustrated tonight, boys. They were in his face because he was out there against that third line a lot too for Ottawa, because he's with the top line for the Habs. And Pillsy, to me, I think when you're in front of the net and he's a young defenseman playing that much, you have to do that. And that's where they got their cookies. I think Cousins' goal was a perfect example of it too, like just a rebound right to him on his stick from Matt and Palo. I don't know if Hudson was on the ice, but I just wanted to mention that because I felt like that's where they took advantage of the Habs down low, was just getting in their face, being physical. And you could see the frustration over the, you know, in the third period, the Habs were chipping back at them every hit. It wears on you. And that's the style of playoff, like Ross mentioned.
And it wasn't just the play in front of the net, Jack, but the play behind the net as well. 2 of those goals happened by that third line doing a wraparound and sending it out front, and that player out front being ready for that. And especially that first goal, which was scored 28 seconds in. That's a good way to quiet down a Habs dominant crowd. But Greg
it was against their top line. Habs started their top line. Ottawa said, okay, we're coming back with our checking line. And the puck was not only in their zone, but Slavkovsky had no clue where the net front guy was. Completely lost.
Yeah, and when you have the opportunity to get that matchup the way you want, your third line, your shutdown checking line up against their top lines, and not only do you shut them down, but you're able to score offensively like that, it was incredible. But I just want to highlight the play from Greg and Amadio battling down low. They win that puck battle, and Greg wraps it around the net, and I don't know how they let Shane Pinto be that available to receive that pass. That's an easy goal for Shane Pinto, and Sens fans, not only at the CTC, but watching at home, are like, oh my God, Shane Pinto scores a goal 28 seconds in. Let's just wrap this one up. Just wind down the time here, because we know that's going to be an automatic W.
I just thought that not only did the start set the tone, but the physicality started the tone. Clearly, there was a note in the Habs dressing room: be strong on number 18. Go out of your way to make life difficult on Tim Stützle. And I felt like Timmy had enough pushback for him. The boys rallied around him. And Ottawa, I thought, controlled the physicality in the first period too, Jack. How important is that going to be to carry in to the games, not only down the stretch, but obviously when it matters most in the playoffs?
I like that you mentioned that Stützle handled it for as well as he could have, right? Like, it was not just a couple chippy plays. That first period, he was under duress like that whole time. Just extra shots after the whistle, scrums with his son, Brendan Gallagher, like a lot of things that I think he'll have to deal with come playoff time. Maybe not necessarily against the Toronto Maple Leafs, but against other teams where hopefully if they go down the line, like against the Panthers, the Lightning, any other team in the East, I'd be worried about that with Stützle. So knowing how the team responded, I think after that big scrum near the benches, that's when the physicality really ramped up. And you're right, Ross, like without Tkachuk in the lineup, that physicality from the Sens in their first game since clinching a playoff spot, the first time we've seen this team play a game where we know they're going to be in the playoffs, other than them trying to push to get in, was so impressive, because we didn't know what kind of level they'd be able to bring their game to. And I'm not saying that this is what they're going to look like in the playoffs, but this is as close to it. You got a hostile environment in your own building. We know that if they play the Leafs, it'll be pretty similar probably for the most part. It's like that every time they play these two teams. And that kind of performance, especially early on, was so impressive. So a lot to be positive about for the Ottawa Senators after a bit of a bittersweet night when they clinched the playoff spot the other night. So thanks to the Montreal Canadiens for A, clinching a spot for the Sens the other night, and then B, giving us a little propelled moment for a playoff push here, because that was another level that we haven't seen this team play at for a full 60 minutes, I thought.
And just the fact you're shutting up the Habs fans in there bright and early, it just made for such a fun game. Credit to the Montreal Canadiens, elite team when they got down 3 goals. When it got to 3-0, they score right away. When it got to 4-1, they score right away. And that was it. It was too little too late after the Shane Pinto goal. You don't even get to bring it back to 2 goals there. Our good friend Madden writes, did the LOSP stats department get the stats on Lyndon Sluage singing the anthem? I don't know how we find that out, but I'll tell you, it's a very, very winning record. Obviously, there was the one, the home opener, and you can go on and on. He's probably done the anthem about 10 or 15 times this year, and it's a no-brainer. Like, this guy better be doing the anthem come playoff time. There's just nobody else that can fire up the crowd the way that Lyndon Sluage can. I'm looking at the advanced analytics. I want to get to that in the next segment of Shane Pinto's dominance tonight over the opposition, but let's discuss how we got here. It was Shane Pinto's 19th goal of the season from Ridley Gregg and Michael Amadio, 28 seconds in, and then just 3 minutes later, Dylan Cousins pounces on a rebound after Tyler Clevin made a great play at the blue line to keep. He's showing a little more skill recently, and it's been nice to see. Obviously, they had their problems defensively a little bit tonight, that pair, but both Clevin and Martin Paolo get assists on the second goal, 4 minutes and 18 seconds in, and it's 2-0 going in to the second period. That's where Ridley Gregg got his 13th, only a minute and 5 seconds in from Michael Amadio and Jake Sanderson. Christian Dvorak answers a minute later on a breakaway, and then it's Drake Batherson with a bouncing shot ricocheting off multiple skates and in. Nick Suzuki makes it a 2-goal game once again. Then Shane Pinto's 20th of the season into an empty net from Artem Zub. Pillsy, how nice was it to hit an empty net for once?
Oh, that was nice, especially because the Montreal Canadiens right now, the way they're playing, are a team where if you allowed them to score with the extra man there and bring that game to 4-3, then the momentum of all those fans in the building, that would really be a concerning turn of the game for me. And I'm just glad they were able just to cut that off right there. Shane Pinto gets it. And, you got to give a lot of credit there. What a play by Artem Zub, because I think instinctively your first thought is just rip this thing out of here. But he head up, takes his time with the puck, sees Pinto is getting going. Okay, I'm going to do a soft bank at the right angle off the boards to set him up perfectly. Mike Matheson looks like he's got cement in his boots. Shane Pinto makes an easy play around him to put that puck in the back of the net, and the Ottawa Senators put the icing on the cake on that one, 5-2.
That was amazing defensive acumen from Mike Matheson. What the heck was he doing there? If this is a Habs podcast, I would be going nuts on that play for Matheson. He didn't think there was any pressure coming.
Yeah, there was just no urgency to him at all.
Where was Arbor Jackeye tonight?
I think he had the Ottawa Senators flu.
Oh, he had the Marty St. Louis flu. He said, no, you don't give me the best chance to win a game. We got to clinch a playoff spot. And they did neither.
The Hayden Hodgson's flu. He saw Hodgins in the lineup. He's like, I don't
want
any of that. That was
tilt. What a fight.
Center probably gets the final edge at the end of it, but that was a back and forth good scrap. That's what you love to see. You know what? For Hodgson's, for his first NHL game in quite a while and just randomly being called up like that, I thought he played his role well.
Yeah, he did. We'll talk about that more, but no fighting at the GCP, just good vibes, great food, awesome people. The GCP, you can find the Glebe Central Pub at 779 Bank Street. When you head there, make sure you let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. Not only are the smash burgers delicious, they are. The wings, so crispy, juicy, tender, and the drinks, they just keep on flowing. They've got live music every Saturday night at the Glebe Central Pub, and they also have send shuttles to and from the GCP. The bus leaves an hour and 15 minutes before the game from the pub, gets you to the game, and also will pick you up right where they drop you off 15 minutes after the final buzzer. There are still seats available on the buses on Tuesday against Chicago, Thursday against Carolina, and the plan is one bus per game for the playoffs. So space will be limited. Make sure to get your tickets early when they're posted, when the schedule comes out, and get your spot on the Glebe Central Pub Shuttle. The vibes are free at the GCP. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you on game days and get 10% off your order.
This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. You guys know FanDuel is the official online sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. The NBA and NHL playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting easy, whether it's picking your favorite team, the Ottawa Senators, or getting into some player props. If you're watching basketball, you can bet on three-pointers, steals, assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out, guys. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson. It was a 5-2 win for the Ottawa Senators tonight. Let's take you through the stats in tonight's game. Shots on goal favor Ottawa 33-22. Sens go 0 for 3 on the power play. Montreal goes 0 for 2. Senators with a slight edge in the face-off circle. They outblocked the Habs by 14-7. I guess they just wanted it more. Habs get 21 hits to 18 for the Senators. If you didn't think it was dominant with a 3-goal win where they lead for 59 minutes and 32 seconds, the expected goals at 5-on-5, 63% in favor of the Ottawa Senators. And Jack, you mentioned the fight. How about that picture right here of Hayden Hodgson? This guy is a lefty.
That's a great shot. Yeah, I love that. I was a bit surprised. I mean, I didn't think that. I think there was one shift before that where the two of them maybe were talking about it. I think it was an ISO cam on Travis Green, and he gave him the nod to go, and there was that weird confusion where they had 6 guys on the ice and no one knew who to got off. I thought that's when it was going to happen, but it finally happens, and admittedly, I was a little bit skeptical of the timing. Like, I'm a big timing guy with fights. Yeah. They're up 4-2. I didn't really think it was a good spot necessarily, but when you throw them like that, I don't think the spot matters. That was a great tilt. And it's rare for the Sens, I think this season especially, to bring up a guy to fight specifically. And that's why he was up there. Second in the AHL in penalty minutes this season, for those who don't know. And
he fought. We know how tough Boko Imama is.
Yeah.
I tweeted it out earlier tonight. You can scroll Sen Central on Twitter and find it. Like, he gave Imama a pretty good go. And by the way, in that fight, and I'll snap it back to you with this, but it's too funny not to mention. After the fight, he tried to do like the L on his forehead to Boko, and he did it backwards.
No. That's funny. I mean, yeah, like I'm not a huge, I love fights though. Like, don't get me wrong. And especially at this time of year, these kind of games. But that was one of those ones where it just kind of, you had to have it. Looked great. The boys loved it on either side. Got the juice in the arena going again. And that's what you kind of want. I mean, we know the Habs and Sens over 10 years ago in that playoff series. That's why hockey is so fun. Those line brawls we had. But man, what a night. And look at the donation from Can't Control Life there. That's a huge one. And boys, it just feels good to beat the Habs. It feels good to beat the Habs. They're 10-3-0 in their last 13 against the Habs overall. I know this season hasn't been the best, but overall it's been a dominant rivalry for the Sens.
And you stop the streak. Ottawa gets 9 in a row. Habs get 3 in a row. You can't let that inch even halfway to where you got to them. Oh my goodness. The fan base is buzzing. The city's on fire. We cannot wait to get our Senators flags. Jack, did you order yours? Pilsy and I's, ours are on our way.
The car flags.
I don't have a car flag, but I got one in my apartment window. So
car
the streets
flag.
of Brockville will be saying, "Go Sens, go." That's what I got. I'll get a car flag. I'll try and get a car flag.
Yeah, get it into you. Get it into you.
I think
Drew likes the clean-shaven prep beards. Fella, the wife doesn't. So I appreciate you for throwing a little support behind it. Kevin is now 13-1-0 when he's boots on the ground this season. He's going to the Philippines for 3 weeks, though. Kevin, you might have to slow down on that trip.
Come on, Kevin.
Hey, round 2. We're all hoping for round 2 here. We're all hoping for round 2. Cheers to everyone. Okay, let's get to the nitty-gritty of tonight's game. Let's start with Shane Pinto. Everyone is wondering why I haven't said the stat, so here it goes. The Ottawa Senators are now 24-1-1 this season when Shane Pinto gets a point. And citizens will remember that we have been tracking this stat now for 2 years. Little did I ever think that it would go up 24 wins and only 1 in the other columns. I knew it was a good stat going into this year, and now it's just gotten outrageous. Ottawa all time since 2021 are 63, 11, and 7. When Shane Pinto gets a point, that would easily win a President's Trophy if Shane Pinto had a point every night.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I mean, it's just nuts, the fact that a third line center has that much impact on a game, winning or losing, and most of the time it's winning. And not only is he able to produce offensively, but we talked about it, that line's ability to shut down opponents' top lines, like, yeah, I really think that third line is going to have a major impact come playoff time.
And they're already having an impact. I pulled it up on Natural Stat Trick. You can do opposition. When Shane Pinto was out on the ice tonight, by the way, two goals, both of them were his, were when he was on the ice at it was 5-on-5. So it was his goal and probably Ridley Gregg's goal because the extra attacker goal doesn't count on this. This is 5-on-5 stats. Were against the Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slavkovsky line. The expected goals percentage when it was Pinto against the top line for the Habs, 88%. I'll average it out. It's like 89, 87, 86. 88% in favor of the Senators. You want your checking line to be at like 53, 54. Just hold the best players to below 50-50. That was domination from Pinto, Gregg, and Amadio. How about this, Pilsy, too? Amadio with a little piss and vinegar in his game tonight. I really like that. Him going back at Hudson, being like, I'm not just going to let you exit the zone. If we're battling, we're going to take this in front of the net, too. It's not my fault you're a little bit shorter than me. Stick rides up a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, the Habs had a bunch of plays where they, like, got high on Timmy. Like, Gallagher's first play on Timmy, he goes right at him high.
Let's go. Let's get into that.
Yeah, and you don't see like Habs fans they love to do the Timmy dive. Timmy doesn't dive there. Lane Hudson looked like he got shot from the 300 section.
It looks right at the ref.
Dive, and right at the ref, goes to the bench. The trainer is like, "What? Like, you don't need any help. You're fine, little guy."
You want a bubble?
And then Brendan Gallagher, I mean, the worst part about being a Habs fan has to be pretending to like this guy. Like, just what an unlikable hockey player on the ice. I'm sure he's a great person, but on the ice, just an absolute scumbag. Like, going after Timmy High like that. And then when they showed the replay after, like, 4 or 5 straight cross checks, and Timmy's like, "Hey, are you done with these? Like, can we move on?" And then he tries to bring him in, and that's when Perron and the rest of the team is like, "Okay, little 5'9", greasy rat elf player, Brendan Gallagher, you had your shots, you did enough, you're getting the extra penalty, like, that's enough of this." And then Timmy lets him know. He takes his number and hits him into the boards right after. Josh Anderson goes after Timmy shortly after. A late hit, in my opinion, but they let it go. They're keeping the game going. But yeah, Gallagher, like, that guy is just trash out there.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We talked about this morning how, like, we didn't think anything of the line changes. I really think they wanted David Perron out on the ice when Tim Stützle was there. He was the first guy in to just rip him, and credit to Claude Giroux, too, went in as well. But they put Timmy with the vets, and it makes sense why now.
My favorite part about that is you go after the Sens' best player, right? The best forward. Tim Stützle is the guy you want to go after. That's no secret. But with the Habs, it's like Suzuki, Caulfield, even Slavkovsky, like they're not excelling in that kind of game for the most part. I know Slavkovsky had his big quote after the Four Nations. You got to play like Brady Tkachuk to have success. He has that big game against Ottawa with no one in the lineup.
Ridley Greig. Yeah.
And then he fights Ridley Greig after like a 2-minute shift, right? Like that's the kind of game that they don't thrive in. So that kind of game from the Habs to me doesn't make any sense because clearly the Sens woke up after that. And they obviously had the lead after that happened. And the Habs were trying to wake their own team up, but it played into the Sens' favor completely. And I just don't understand the goal of it from the Canadiens because Gallagher and Stützle have such a history, and it's not a favorable one for the Canadiens. Like it's one that the Sens have come out on. I just said they're 10-3-0 in their last 13. So why do they keep going after Stützle thinking it'll work, even if Tkachuk's out of the lineup? It doesn't make sense, but as a Sens fan, you got to sit back and laugh because it just plays right into their favor. Again, like we mentioned off the top, I thought Stützle handled it perfectly, took what he could, had a couple chances maybe, but again, like that third line just shut down the Habs top line so well that it didn't matter.
Yeah, and I just recommend Brendan Gallagher, just keep your helmet on out there, eh, kid?
Yeah, tough. I mean, tough look and a bad penalty.
Yeah, that's tough. Maybe try something else. Maybe try something else because picking on Tim Stützle not working. Timmy did hit my quota tonight. I said 3 shots on goal. Timmy had 4, still looking to get the monkey off his back. 1 goal in 17 games since forever ago. But look, he's doing other things right out there, and eventually it's going to go in for him. We also had a question asking, what's the Sens record, Matthew, when we score first? Ottawa's record this season is an NHL best 34-6-0 when they score first. Boys, they're 21-0 at home when they score the first goal of the game. It's truly remarkable. When leading after 2 periods at home, they are now 19-0. They have not blown a third period lead heading into the third period all season long. You got to give some credit to Travis Green and what the coaching staff has done to get this team where they're at right now. But it's the players that do the work on the ice. And on the other side, we will have our Sens Central standouts from a 5-2 win over the Montreal Canadiens. That's next. You're listening to the Postcast, presented by Locked On Senators.
This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like the energy of a live game. Getting to say beat the traffic to thousands of Habs fans is a beautiful thing. Or whether you're catching a last-minute baseball game or the excitement of an NBA matchup, but finding great seats at a great price, that used to be a challenge, but now don't worry about that. There's Game Time. Game Time makes scoring last-minute tickets even easier than ever. Prices actually drop as the event gets closer, and with their all-in pricing, you see the total cost up front. No surprises at checkout. I love Game Time because with last-minute deals, you can save up to 60% off buying last-minute, not just for sports guys, comedy, theater, and concerts as well. You can grab last-minute seats for Sens games and save big with zone deals. You get to see the view of your seat before you buy, no surprise fees, and a lowest price guarantee so that you're booking with total confidence. Their lowest price guarantee means you never have to worry about overpaying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson. You can find the links to our social pages in the bio of this show, and make sure to check out the Glebe Central Pub. The Postcast would not exist without our great friends at the Glebe Central Pub. We had a lot of tweets today of people on the shuttle, including April Murray, who said there were too many Habs fans as she was walking into the rink. And I said, don't worry, they're usually a lot quieter on the way out. So score 1 for me. I was right there. Senators win 5-2. They led for 59 minutes and 32 seconds. Jack, you look great with the new camera, so I'm snapping it to you. Your Sens Central standout in tonight's game.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it. Appreciate the camera love. I'm going with someone from that line. It's got to be someone from that shutdown line. I'm going with Shane Pinto. The third line center. Not many teams in the league can say that their third line center is their best player on a lot of nights. I've said Shane Pinto a couple times, and the one I want to go back to is this tonight reminded me of that game. And I'm not saying it because it's Habs and Leafs, but that game against the Leafs in January, I think it was, that 2-1 win. He had the game winner bouncing off his knee. He was outstanding against Matthews and Marner. He did it again tonight against Caulfield, Slafkovsky, and Suzuki. And he's going to have to do it against the Leafs probably in the playoffs. So that's the stuff that's Pinto to me. I know we can pick anyone from that line, but if he can be that offensive too, like have that touch, gets his 20th goal of the season after a really slow start, that's what you want from Shane Pinto. And it's just that confidence that not only are you going to shut down the other opponent and not give up too much, you're going to generate. They had 2 even strength goals. The empty netter, I can't say enough about Shane Pinto. I think that ties a career high in goals for him as well.
Yep.
He's been great. And having that in your back pocket for matchups. And let's talk about, like I'll mention the Leafs again, but if you're playing the Leafs, it's not just one line. There's obviously Tavares and Nylander to worry about. So on the road, I think they just need to roll that line almost like a top line. Like just get them out as much as possible because they're going to do well against that higher competition. So I loved what I saw from Shane Pinto tonight. He's really stepped up his game the last few, I thought. And I mean, again, anyone from that group of 5 with Sanderson and Zub, I think is an easy pick.
Shane Pinto leads the Ottawa Senators in goals since December 2nd. And that was heading into tonight's game, or it might actually be updated by now. It's NHL.com. He has 17 goals in his last 50 games, which is the most on the Ottawa Senators, one more than Brady Tkachuk. So the offense, it decided to show up, and we're happy to see it for Shane Pinto. Pilsy, your Sen Central standout.
Well, I mean, let's just stick on that third line. I think that makes sense. Ross,
Nice.
I'm
going a different direction.
I'm going to leave. Oh, I was going to say, I'm going to leave your favorite player, but
It's me, Mario.
I'm taking Ridley Gregg with a goal and an assist. He finished at a +3 tonight. All 3 players on that line finished at +3. He had 3 shots on net. I really want to highlight that first goal again. Like the way that him and Amadio were able to battle down low, and then Gregg's the one that wraps it around, and Pinto's able to bury it. And then on the third goal, Amadio is the one that goes behind the net, wraps it around, and Gregg's the one out front burying it, battling it. So I really liked Ridley Gregg's game here, and like he's going to be so much fun to watch as a pest. And not only is he going to get under guys' skin, he also has that ability to create some offense as well. So there's nothing worse than when you're sitting on the bench and the player that's out there that you despise the most is also helping put the puck in the back of the net and doing it themselves. That's going to really frustrate other teams in a 7-game series. So Ridley Gregg, he's my Sen Central standout tonight.
Super easy to say that entire line was the standout. I'm completely on board with that, but I want to give some love to the back end and Jake Sanderson, the best defenseman on the ice tonight, and then no Hab fan can even pretend like he wasn't. He had the most time on ice on the Ottawa Senators, 23 minutes and 7 seconds. Our good friend Everyday Sens on Must Follow on Twitter had all the numbers. He was first in all of these, okay? 3 minutes and 13 seconds on the perfect Senate, and they went 2 for 2 on the PK. So that's 4 minutes of penalties, and Sanderson played 3 minutes and 13 seconds of it. He had an assist. He had 5 shots on goal, 8 shot attempts, 2 blocks, led the team in both expected goals percentage and shooting on a shooting percentage in terms of shot volume. The Corsi at 69%. He was a +2. The shots when he was on the ice were 11-2. The high danger chances were 8-1. When Jake Sanderson was on the ice. This guy is just a complete superstar. Complete superstar.
He's elite. He's elite. Like
I loved his game.
He's better than elite. He's a franchise building block defenseman. There are not 4 defensemen in the league I wouldn't build my team around other than him.
It's a short list, boys. It's a short list. I think he's become their best player, really. I mean, he's that good. Does everything. Like you can't, it's hard to describe. He just does everything. Like that's what Jake Sanderson is to this team. And when he's playing like this, man, it's the power play. Even I know the power play didn't score, but they look good. They look good. That one at the end of the second, especially, they were humming. So he's quarterbacking that, learning that, the penalty kill, and those PKs, Ross, were not even. They were back to back. Like they were right consecutively too, which is important to point out. So.
Tough play by Batherson to go to the box there. You can't be taking consecutive penalties that close together in the playoffs.
Yeah, and a weak call on Clevin, too. Like, Clevin was frustrated about that.
Yeah,
that was another one.
The Clevin call was weak, but knowing that the Clevin penalty had just ended, Batherson's got to be a little more careful there, because that one was a hooking penalty for sure, in an area where you got to call it.
And Batherson does that quite often, where he uses that extra hand, and I think in the playoffs, maybe you'll get away with that a little bit more, but we've seen a couple times where he gets called for that. And even later on in the game, I saw him do it again. I was like, oh man, they're going to get him here again, but they didn't call that one. So that's one thing he's going to have to cut back on. Yeah,
I completely agree with you there. And fun stat from tonight's game. Is it accurate? Double check it. It is. Every single Senators defenseman had an assist tonight. Zub, Sanderson, Jensen, Matin Palo, Shabbat, and Clevin.
And Clevin's assist was really nice. It was a little bit underrated on that play because he has to go D to D to Zub, or Matin Palo rather. And there's a Habs player right there getting low with his stick almost on the ice. And Clevin finds a way to get that right under. Matin Palo winds up with the big slap shot, rebound, Cousins scores. So that was a great one.
How about Matin Palo's net drive play too?
Yeah, now that he's scored a goal in front of the net in the slot, he's just got a nose for the net now. He looked like Tim Stützle coming in on that lane.
I don't know, but I like it. It's that confidence you get when you get to play every single night. Boys, are we expecting Hayden Hodgson to play on Sunday?
Against his old team.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I'm kind of expecting now for them to do a little bit of load management. I'd kind of... I don't know. I'm sure you guys have touched on it a little bit, but this game was, I know I called it meaningless on Twitter. That was tongue in cheek. It was not meaningless, but they've mainly got that first wild card spot. I think one more win, like you said, Ross, 1 point gets it locked up. So I think they've got it. So I would expect some load management. So yeah, I'd say he gets another game or two for sure. Why not?
Okay. Jack, quick final thoughts on today's postcast.
I am so happy for the Sens fans that were in attendance tonight because I'm sure there were a lot that were at some who were there at the Habs game after the Four Nations break, and that wasn't pretty. And the ones that got to chant "Ole, ole, ole" tonight, really happy that they were in there. That was a great win. The first playoff hockey clinching game, I guess. The first game where they're playing where they've clinched. Got there eventually, landed that plane. So that's what I'm feeling, boys. I'm just excited for playoff hockey in Ottawa.
Love that. Pillsy, final thoughts?
Yeah, I do want to see more of Hodgson here because it's nice to have, when you're in this position, you want someone that has the role of an enforcer just if things get out of hand, that other players don't feel like they need to step in. If the physicality gets too much or teams that are well out of it get frustrated and try to get a little chippy, it's nice to have a guy like that there. I want to see Gilbert get in some more games here. I want to see Jensen take a seat. Like Mark Mathod has commented on it a lot, that Jensen looks a little bit out of place, and he even took a couple big shots. Like he got shoved into the net in this game, and he's been taking practices off and things like that. So just rest the guys that need the rest and keep Hodgson there. No funny business. The Sens beat the Habs. It feels good. It feels so good. I love seeing it. Oh, you're muted.
And we got another postcast on Sunday afternoon after the Senators take on the Philadelphia Flyers. But with 3 games left in the season, the Senators have a 5-point lead over the Montreal Canadiens. The Senators really finding themselves likely to finish in that top wild card spot. We cannot wait to be on this journey with everybody. If you missed our interview today with Jamie Campbell from Blue Jays Central. Hey, they were rained out tonight. I'm sure he got to watch tonight's game, and I'm sure he was very happy with the result. So are we here. The Habs do not clinch a playoff spot in our barn. Senators get 1 win in the season series, and now we are on to bigger and better things. For tonight, we say goodbye. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for everyone being here in the postcast, the everydayers out there that are riding with us. We appreciate you, citizens, so damn much. For Jack Richardson and Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been the Postcast after a 5-2 Senators win over the Montreal Canadiens. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.